So, you see this? This means we're in long spring and probably an even longer summer, especially if it gets really, really, really hot. But since we are going to be doing this, whatever this is, right? Sheltering in place, staying safe in place, and keeping people safe, we might as well taste some wine, right? So let's taste some wine. This is a shout-out addition to my good friend Vincent Natras of the Orchard Kitchen in Washington State on Whidbey Island, who says that my videos suck and that I need to get a personality or put more personality into it. But to you, sir, I say, I am not Gary Vayner. Well, actually, I'm not anybody. I'm just me. And usually I'm doing these videos really late at night. I should probably do them earlier in the morning, but then I'd have to be drinking in the morning, which, you know, once you start day drinking, things get ugly. But since I'm doing these really late at night, and I'm usually pretty tired, so this is about as much animation as you're going to get out of me right now. Anyways, let's talk about wine. So this is another wine from the vault. I was actually looking around various spreadsheets, and I found that I had 3 cases of this left in the warehouse. This is the Favaro Freisa 2013. So it's been sitting around for quite a while, and I have 3 cases left of it. Actually, on the back it just says Favaro, and it says Vino Rosso 2013, because of course it's an IGT, or maybe it's a Vino da Tavola. Actually, maybe it's an IGT. I don't know. But you couldn't put the label. You couldn't put the grape variety, which is Freisa, on the label. So he calls it F2 for Favaro Freisa. And it's a red wine from Piemonte. This is from the Alta Piemonte, and we talked about that before, that there's a little group of wine regions, most famously Gattinara, Gemme, Lesona, Bramatera, Bocca, and a few others thrown in there, as well as the area around Lake Piverone in a town called Piverone. And they make fantastic white wines, the Erba Luce, that you may have tasted, or I may have tasted and shown you here, or maybe not. Actually, I don't even remember. And then he also makes a tiny little bit of Freisa. And Freisa is a very famous, well, actually, it's a completely forgotten indigenous red grape variety that was widely grown in Piemonte when vermouth was the main export from Piemonte, and that goes back into the 1800s and the early part of the 1900s all the way up until the Second World War. Vermouth, red vermouth as well as white vermouth, maybe, I don't know, but probably red vermouth was the main export from that area. Freisa, being a very hardy grape with a whole bunch of tannins and being very disease resistant, having a lot of color, having a lot of tannin, was perfect for red vermouth, and so it was incredibly widely planted. One of its parents may be Nebbiolo, or I think they think that one of its parents is Nebbiolo. But anyways, with Freisa, what you get for the most part, there's a couple different styles. Back in the day, the most famous style was the sort of off-dry, sweeter, sparkling style of Freisa. And that was popular up until, I think, the 1960s or the 1970s. And the reason why they always made it fizzy and sweet is, of course, it has this incredibly dark color, as you can see, and it also has a huge amount of tannins. So this is one of those wines that I buy. I'm actually offered this wine. I only buy it occasionally. I only buy it in small quantity. And the reason why I only buy it occasionally is because I need to take it when it's way too young. And I'm not actually, well, it's actually very difficult to sell in the market when it's very, very young because it's so tannic. This wine in particular from Favaro is fermented in stainless steel, so it doesn't spend any time in wood that would naturally ameliorate the tannins by making them drop out as sediment as it sits on the lees for a certain amount of time. But with a wine that stays in the tank for only 6 months or a year before it's put into bottle, it means that the tannins are still going to be quite present. So, but what's happened is that in the 7 years that this has been sitting in the bottle, all of the tannins have dropped out as sediment. As you can see that it's starting to get lighter and lighter and lighter towards the edge of the glass. And it creates a wine that's in just fantastic shape. Oh my gosh. And I have in also another part of my portfolio with the wines of GD Vajra, I have probably, I mean, who knows really, probably the most famous of all the dry and savory Freisa. Maybe not the most famous, but I'm just going to say the best of the dry, savory Freisa from GD Vajra, which is the Kie. And it's, you know, the highest rated Freisa of all time by Antonio Galloni. And it's just, I mean, it's in a class by itself. But of course, it's also in a price range by itself. So when you get something like this, which originally, gosh, I think originally I was selling this wine maybe wholesale for, I don't know, $15 wholesale. So maybe it was about $22.50 on the shelf. It was a wine that, you know, is much less expensive. So you're able to get to it a little bit easier if you're a customer. But the problem is that when you do get to Freisa and it's young, you actually don't like it because it's too tannic, it's too acidic, it's too strong, it's too animalistic. But when it gets a little bit of age on it, like this one does, it turns into this beautiful rose perfumed, velvety style of northern Italian red wine. Oh man, I mean, that wine's just amazing. I mean, it's truly amazing. The amount of acidity and the amount of tannin is incredible. And this wine's been open since this morning. I actually opened it up this morning after I got some samples delivered to the house. And I opened it up and it was, you know, it wasn't even ready to drink then. So it's a wine that you need to decant. Remember, decant all your wines all the time. But anyways, I was incredibly excited and happy to find that I still had some of this. It isn't available. I had a couple cases, but I'm going to sell them. But this is the Favaro Freisa, the F2 from 2013 from Camilo and his father, Benito, and his mother and his sister and his brother-in-law and his wife who designed the label, who's fantastic, Antonella. Ciao, Antonella. And these are wines that are unicorn wines that you can't find. No one else has them. They're not available in any part of the United States. Of course, you know, Camilo being the fastest man in the wine business, you know, the wines are just amazing. So anyways, as always, be safe, stay healthy, be true to yourself. Vincent Natris, I see you, and keep your family close. I hope to see you soon.